There we are. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. The trio, not the Fantastic Four, like Inter Miami's Fantastic Four. We're still missing Simon Evans, but you can see the three of us, the three long-term. I guess we're the Messi, Busquets, and Jordi Alba of the foursome that we are, because we're the original trio. But of course, if you can see us, or if you're listening to us, my name is Franco Panizo. There is Andrea Llanes and Jose Armando, a.k.a. rights holder Jose, once again, after calling the most recent Inter Miami game against FC Dallas in Espanol. And of course, if you're listening to this podcast, you know we go by the name of Miami Total Football Radio, or in Spanish, Miami Total Football Radio. All right, guys. So I just got to start with the pleasantries. We'll start with Andreita, who's looking very nice today. How are you doing today, Andrea? You're definitely beat Jose and I in the outfit department this week.
Thanks. I'm glad to be back. You guys are being like basic. You didn't get the memo that this year Inter Miami is flashy and everything. We have to keep up with the theme, right? So nice to be back. It's the first one for me for this 2024. Yeah. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back and to talk about Inter Miami and everything that we know and that has happened. So we're here. We're ready.
Jose, how are you doing today, brother?
Doing good. I mean, I guess I'm just awaiting what's going to happen with preseason. I feel like I'm being too serious already. You know, I was like getting into the rhythm of things, and I think this question is more about how I'm doing daily in my life. So
yeah, always going right to business.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking about it. You know, we went to training this morning, and since we left the facility, I've been thinking about this. But so it's good for me, I guess, to be on this show so that we can talk about it. I'll sleep a lot better tonight. But no, yeah, I'm doing good. You know, excited about calling the game on Monday. Was it Monday? Yeah. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So doing good. I can't complain.
Okay, well, I'll just quickly sum up that my weekend was fantastic. I didn't go to El Salvador. Did one of your scarves just fall, Jose, mid show? Did that just happen?
It did. and guess what? It's the MLS season pass one. So.
Oh man!
Sorry, MLS.
I don't know if they're good or bad omens for your future as an MLS commentator. Nonetheless, this past weekend, the reason why I didn't go to El Salvador, I was on a boat celebrating a birthday, and I had a great time down in Miami. Fantastic time. I didn't get that tan. It was a little chilly and gray. The sun came out for a little bit, but it was nice.
Franco always partying. Well, we Jose and me, however you say it the correct way, are always working, and Franco is always partying. That's not fair. Please subscribe to this podcast so that we become millionaires and don't have to work again and be like Franco and go on a boat every weekend. Thank you.
Just to set the record clear, Franco Panizo is not even close to a millionaire. Just letting everybody be aware of that. Although I felt like one a little bit, maybe for a tad second, on yesterday, because speaking of boats, I was on the Icon of the Seas, the new Royal Caribbean cruise that is as luxurious as you may have heard. If you haven't heard, there's a lot of things you can find online. If you go off of my Twitter handle from yesterday's event, probably won't catch a whole bunch of the luxurious things because the event itself was not the greatest. We'll get into that. We'll start with a little more fun stuff, a little more of a first-hand experience. I know you guys couldn't make it yet. Other things to attend to. Rights holder Jose, super busy, flying scarves and everything. So I'll just share some of the insights into it. I mean, we got on the boat at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and top notch. Todo primer mundo, super nice, super fancy. As a matter of fact, before I just do any more talking, I'll let you guys see a piece of it. This is not I guess this is partial of the inside, but not all of the inside. The boat the cruise ship is massive. I mean, if you've ever been on a cruise, you know that they're big, but this one is, I don't know, it's just another level. Otro nivel. Obviously, this will be a vertical video, so apologize in advance, but for you guys to get a glimpse of how luxurious this Icon of the Seas is from Royal Caribbean, which, yes, is Inter Miami's new jersey sponsor. We'll talk about that here in a moment, but just to give you a little glimpse of what we saw yesterday on the boat. There you go. You caught a glimpse of it. Again, apologies, it's not horizontal, but I took that one vertically for other social media and had to
Or
repurpose
the
it here.
gram, and you didn't remember about the podcast.
It's hard, man. You got to do one video this way for some things. You got to do video for. It's just. I wish it was all.
It's not
uniform.
hard. It's not hard at all.
I wish it was all uniform, but it is not, my friend. It is not.
So how much is it to go on a cruise in the Icon of the Seas? And is it true that it has a water park? Did you guys get to do a tour of the whole thing, or it was just the event?
So I started with the nice part because the rest of what I'm going to say is not going to be said.
Also, the nice part is over?
For the most
Mickey
part.
Harrison is going to ban you from everything.
Listen, I'm a big Miami Heat fan, so Mickey Harrison.
But I mean, Carnival. I mean, Mickey Harrison is Carnival, so he'll
well,
be happy about it.
Forgive me about that. I'm confusing everyone.
He'll be happy about this.
May invite me. I am a big Miami Heat fan, though, Mickey. So if you want to invite me at any point to any Heat games, as also Royal Caribbean critiquer, here we are. A critic, I guess, would be the right term. Look, the boat is magnificent, increíble. Again, I can't. There's not enough superlative. There's not enough nice things to say about the boat itself. Gigantic, but I mean, I definitely took a tour of the boat. I'll put it to you like that, because when I got there, and I asked some of the boat employees, some of the cruise employees, where the Inter Miami event was, I was pointed in one direction, which was on one side of the cruise ship, on the 15th floor, I think so. Wow. 15th floor, and it was on the other side, and you had to get, you go to the elevators. It's one of those elevators where you push like the floor you want to go to, and then it tells you which letter to go to, because that's going to be the fastest one to get you there based on how the elevators are in movement. And I go to the 15th floor, and there was an event being prepared, but it wasn't the initial Inter Miami event that was being held at the moment. I didn't know that at the time, and I was being I had to sweet talk my way in because I didn't have a credential, because it was a bit of a mess. It was a bit of a mess. There was no instructions to tell you, hey, once you come into the boat, you have to make a quick, immediate turn, and there's going to be some credentials for media. Anyway, I talked my way in. I walked in there. I saw that there was cameras set up, but I didn't see a whole lot of action. I saw some people rehearsing, and I was like, I don't think this is the right spot. So I walked out. I asked around again, and it turns out that the Inter Miami event for the jersey unveiling was going to be on the complete other side of the boat, on the 6th floor. So I went down to the 5th to go get the credential, because I was instructed where it was finally. So I get that credential. I make my way to the 6th floor. I made it just in time for the beginning of the ceremony, which was the beginning of 3 long hours. There was some show. There was a little bit of like spectacle to try to make it fun, but a lot of it was just college lecture, talking and talking and talking. Jorge Mas made an appearance, but for the most part, well, I mean, it's good to see somebody from Inter Miami speaking at this keynote event, because everybody else was just Royal Caribbean suits.
Messi had a few words, didn't he?
But that was later. The first event, the only person from Inter Miami that spoke was Jorge Mas, who was he had a cane, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, a walker, because he just recently had knee surgery, we were told. So he comes out, he does the speech. Typical Jorge Mas, talking about freedom to dream and uniting, two leaders in their respective fields, yada, yada, yada. I have video of it all, but I don't think it's all that entertaining for you guys that are listening or watching.
Thank you.
I kept my eyes very closely on Leo Messi, who was sitting next to Luis Suarez. Luis Suarez arrived late for whatever reason. I don't know if he went to the bathroom. I don't know if he came separately from the rest of the group, but Luis Suarez arrived a little bit later than the majority of the team. But he was sitting next to Suarez, next to Busquets, next to Alba, and pretty inexpressive Messi throughout the whole part of this first of 2 events on the cruise ship. The highlight, of course, of this moment, of this event, was the jersey unveiling. Now, a lot of people, including myself, thought that the jersey that was going to be unveiled was the new pink one that has made the rounds on social media. But alas, that was not the case. The jersey that was shown off was the La Noche from 2023. It just had the Royal Caribbean
logo
sponsor logo on it. So let's take a look at it here in 2 different images. There's one where you can see the entire group that attended. And listen, I think it looks good. I think if the pink one would have been like this, from what we've seen so far, then I think it would have been a home run. But the pink one, again, we know it's going to be, or at least from what we've seen, it's going to be vertical. I think this looks good. I don't know if you guys agree. I think it has a good clash between the black and pink, and the logo looks
the same.
No, the other one was XBTO. This one looks, to me, it looks cooler. Like the logo looks cooler than the 4 letters of XBTO. That's just my own taste.
Mickey Harrison's not gonna be happy about it. You see, you started well, and then
it's fine. It looks good, and I agree with you that the pink one. We already saw people wearing the pink shirt, not in MLS thing because they haven't announced the shirt officially, but I've seen people wearing the shirt, and I don't really like the logo. The logo.
You've seen it? Where have you seen it, Andrea? Where have you seen it? I want to know.
During the MLS Media Day, we get.
No, I saw it during the MLS Media Day, but those were the players, and yes, I've seen people wearing it in the street. I guess it's the fake ones. I don't know where they got it, but I've seen people wearing it in El Salvador. Many people were wearing that shirt already, and it's unfortunately
there was one guy,
salmon pink. I don't know what to call that color. But
I need to see what shade is it going to be, because we've seen a bunch of different shades. So
it's a brighter pink.
It's a brighter salmon. Pink. It's a brighter tone of pink. Yes.
At Media Day, to your point, Andrea, when I was there and I saw just Sergio Busquets, he was wearing the pink zip up that they're wearing now, which is the new part of the new 2024 swag, which I think looks pretty cool. But you could see it, the shorts and socks you were wearing, and they look like a different shade of pink, and they look like the game shorts that they will probably be wearing this year, as well as the game socks. I imagine because it was Media Day and they had different takes to do and different videos to take for the league and etc., that they were wearing the new jersey, the new pink jersey that we'll see at some point before the start of the season. And it definitely looked like a different shade of pink. I don't know if I can officially call it salmon yet. I need to see it, up close and personal.
It's not
salmon.
It's like neon pink. It's a tone of salmon, I would say. It's a combination.
It's a little more red than this. It
looks better. It looks better than what's been floating in the internet. It's just that we signed
a little bit better,
so we know we
can.
That's why
but people in El Salvador were wearing the shirt. So
it says Bamba, Andrea. That's I forget the word for it in Honduras. In Peru, it's Bamba. It's fake.
It's fake. But
knockoff.
Someone from the organization that had to do something with the game that was wearing that shirt. But I really prefer the black one because of the logo being on the side and not at the center. I personally think that the crest, yes, being at the center, I personally think that the center is reserved for patches that you win something, or that's the game that you're playing. If it's a final or whatever, you won the World Cup, you won the Liga or whatever, as teams usually do. And that's why teams don't put the crest on the middle, because then if you win something, there's no space to put anything there. But I think the black one looks nice, and we will have to wait and see what the pink one will look officially when they wear it and they present it to everyone.
I don't expect it to look like the black one, but if it had, I think it would be much closer to being, for using a term of another sport, a home run. But I think with the vertical, I think it's going to take a lot away from what it could have been. Speaking of if things look good or bad, I just need a very quick answer from you guys and the people in the comment section that are reining in with their thoughts and opinions so far on this boat cruise review. Do we like these shoes from Lionel Messi? Yes or no?
That's horrendous.
It's a no.
Horrendous. Man, Adidas is like trying to be trying to make Messi shoes happen, like to be like compared to Jordan, because he wore that once for that cruise thing, and then he wore another ones when he went out with Antonella and Sofia Vergara on the weekend. They were horrible too, horrendous. So
if you're listening to this after we record, I mean, it's really hard to describe all the colors that are on his shoe. It's like a pastel green, an orange, some pink in there, some. I mean, there's a lot going on there, but I saw a lot of comments about it. But look, maybe it's just Messi style. Maybe that's just he likes those type of shoes. Maybe. Anyway,
money.
To continue on with this cruise review, and I didn't mention an important part that I think will drive Jose happy.
Okay.
Mario Lopez was the host, was the VJ, I guess is what you call him, at the event. Yeah, celebrity / former actor, or I guess he's still an actor. Mario
Saved by the
Lopez.
Bell. Just say Saved by the Bell. The guy that
I mean,
wasn't Saved
I
by the
don't
Bell.
know if everyone will get that reference in 2024. There's
Really?
young people that watch the pod. Hey, no, I don't think everyone would get that Saved by the Bell reference.
That's
So
true.
Maybe
That's
I'm
true.
wrong.
So that's what I would like. Why would I would like that Mario Lopez was there?
You're a TV star yourself these days.
There
There you go. There you go. Actually, funny enough, after the whole events ended, Mario Lopez was just walking. He was on his cell phone, walking by, like just like a man of the people. And I was walking the other direction, and I just kind of tapped him, and he turned around and went just like that. I almost caught it on camera. But all right. Anyway, so that event ends. There's all these, there's a festive Caribbean dance that Messi didn't really show a whole lot of emotion for. But anyway, we move on to the other side of the boat, where it's called the Aquadome, I think it was called, and there was champagne waiting for us. So the only thing, I won't say snack, but the only thing we were given, aside from a backpack with some goodies that a lot of people took home. But other than that, we were given some champagne on the other end, and then started this other hour and a half monologue between a lot of Royal Caribbean executives that droned on and on and on. And I give Lionel Messi all the credit in the world, because he had to sit there front and center as one of the key guest invitees, and just watch. There's also some band called the Red Hot Chili Pipers from Scotland that performed. There was an aqua show that was performed with people diving into the water, and they had Batman song playing in the background with Joker laughing. I mean, I can't imagine Messi was thrilled. That's just me personally. I can't imagine that he was sitting there like, man, I love this. I even jokingly tweeted out he must be thinking like, 50 millones para esto, $50 million for all this. I don't know if it's worth it anymore. But obviously a bit of a joke. But I have to share this photo. I shared it on Twitter. This is of Inter Miami. You're a portion of the Inter Miami team sitting there listening to these Royal Caribbean executives pat themselves on the back. One guy even thanked, if I'm not mistaken, he thanked his daughters for working at Royal Caribbean, and they were in attendance. And I was like, are we
Nepo babies?
Are we really doing this? Is this really happening? But anyway, look at this image from Inter Miami players. They look enthusiastic as ever being part of that. I'm sure some of them were like, man, I couldn't come up with a better excuse not to be here. But almost everybody was there.
Campana on his phone watching Instagram.
Look at Benjamin Kremaski, man. He's like, he's cold or he's that bored. Sergio Christoph is trying to pretend like he's paying attention. Luis Suarez is on his phone. Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba are like, all right, come on, man.
I like Christoph, Boujee, Jordi, and Julian. That would be me right there.
Trying to keep it together.
I have a picture of the entire scene with Messi on the center stage and the team off to the side, but it's too small for you guys to really pick out here. You can see it on Twitter if you'd like, at Franco Panizo, as you see right here. You can find it there. And there's a lot of other funny faces if you really zoom in. I know you guys, when I sent it to you in our beloved and famous WhatsApp group, you guys really like Nicola Stefanelli's face because he's like this.
And Coco was priceless.
Anyway, so that goes on for another hour and a half. At the end, they tell Messi to christen the boat, and he did so just by grabbing a soccer ball that was dropped in from one of the trapeze artists up in the sky. He puts it onto the podium on a little stand, and that was it. Celebrity confetti fell, and that was the entire event. There were no interviews for media. It was just a show. It's just a congratulatory pat yourselves on the back event. It was what it was. I think the boat was fantastic. Jose, you asked earlier how much it cost. I think cheapest is like $1,500 to $2,000, something along those lines. That's the cheapest, and then it goes up from there. So definitely not cheap. The Inter Miami players, it's funny enough, I had a media member asking me this today. Did media get a free pass to the boat? And I said, no. The Inter Miami players did, though. That was their surprise during the jersey unveiling event. They all got a free 7-day stay on that boat whenever they can do it. I jokingly asked DeAndre Edmond today during media availability if his missus has started asking him for what dates. obviously jokingly said some point in the offseason. All right. Enough of the Boujee boat. Let's get to some soccer. Let's get to some football. Jose, Inter Miami has played 2 games, one of which, again, we cannot let the people forget. You called one of these games in Espanol. Muy bien, right shoulder, Jose. He's back. He's back. Jose, what were your takeaways from these 2 games? A 0-0 draw down in El Salvador. I'll get to the lineups in a second. A 0-0 draw away to El Salvador last Friday. And then on Monday, a 1-0 loss to FC Dallas, obviously in Texas. You got to call that goal. It wasn't an Inter Miami goal, but I thought you did a good job. All the same, showing the enthusiasm and the passion, even though it was an early goal. But Jose, your thoughts. What are your takeaways from the 2 games? Just your biggest takeaways.
Yeah, well, I think the first game, it was so many things going on around that game. The expectations surrounded the Inter Miami visit, and I wouldn't call it to El Salvador. I would call it the Central America because we're all Central American, so it was a big deal. We know it was a big deal in Honduras and in the entire region. So it was a huge event, we posted some videos as well of when the team was arriving and how crazy it was in the streets. It was just unbelievable. So and then conditions are just a little bit different, especially when it comes to a preseason game. You could tell that the game on Monday was very different. The way the players were acclimated to the surroundings. It was not more like everybody's watching us. Everybody wants us to do well here. Everybody wants to do something spectacular. And then the mentality for the team was just, this is our first game of preseason. So I thought that game was not good, not bad, just okay. It was just a show. Now, the game in Dallas, I think they play a little bit better. But the one thing that was concerning to me, and I told you this morning, it's why were they not able to break FC Dallas down defensively? They're not a great team. It was the first game for them as well, so they had a little bit of an advantage, and yet they were never able to just break them down. I think for me, I think it is they need to move the ball a lot faster. I think that's the one thing, and I said it in the broadcast. And then a little bit concerning as well defensively, but I'm giving them time defensively because I know that's not the team that's gonna play in the regular season. I mean, the first game, DeAndre Yedlin and Noah Allen as center back. So I knew immediately that I couldn't judge them defensively in that game. I mean, there's no way to do that.
What does it say? Jose, what does it say to you very quickly? What does it say to you that, again, and we talked about this last year.
Yeah, McVay. I think that's where it's going, right?
What does it say to you that DeAndre Yedlin and Noah Allen, 2 fullbacks, are starting at center backs over the healthy and available Christopher McVay and Ryan Saylor? Yeah, that's very telling. It is very telling. It is very telling, and it has to be disappointing for them. And even the game on Monday, McVay comes in, and initially he doesn't play as a center back. He plays on the right side, which I was a little bit surprised about it because we obviously saw him under Phil playing as a left back, not as a right back. And it was just, it feels like at this point McVay and Saylor are just there to complete the team. We need we need to give rest to the starters, so let's just go ahead and put them in. Maybe they have a good showing, somebody it's interested in them, and we can find a way to make this work for both parties. So I think the second game was better. I would say that. Andre, I'm going to you, but before I do that, this was the starting lineup in the game. Again, a goalless draw against El Salvador. A lot of fanfare, though. A lot of hoopla, a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement on the streets in El Salvador. If you hadn't seen the images on social media, take the time to do so whenever you have some spare time because it's worth checking out. It was all the Messi mania that you could expect. So it was a 5-3-2. CJ Dos Santos got the start in goal in place of Drake Callender, who was with the U.S. men's national team. Back 5 from right to left. Julian Gressel, DeAndre Yedlin, Tomas Aviles, Noah Allen, Jordi Alba. Your midfield trio, Sergio Busquets, Gregory, Benjamin Kremaski, and up top, the duo of Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi. Held without a goal. Like Jose said, it wasn't a beautiful game. There were a couple of moments where Inter Miami linked up well in that final third, but not enough, especially for a team that has that much quality. The one sequence where the Fantastic Four, los Cuatro Fantásticos, as I am hell-bent on calling them, and I know Jose and Andrea have referenced them as well. That one sequence where they all got involved with one another and they created a hard shot on goal for Messi, that was probably one of the bright spots of that match. Of course, one of the most alarming and negative for Inter Miami was the injury to Facundo Farias. Ends up tearing his ACL on a challenge from Darwin Serin. Andrea, obviously, that's a loss for Inter Miami, a young player who was expected to get a lot of minutes, who was going to factor in. Maybe he's not one of the big-name stars, but you expected him to have a big role. It's not his first injury either in his young career, 21 years old, and he's already had a couple of serious ones. He's out for the rest of the season per Inter Miami, so a significant loss, especially in that creative department, especially in that depth that Inter Miami was likely counting on for this year. How big of a loss is it? And by the way, kudos to you guys in Deportes Totales USA, who you guys write and work for capturing those images down in El Salvador, especially the one of him being carried into the bus with a heavily bandaged left leg.
That was heartbreaking. It was terrible. It was terrible. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Jose Metich. Yeah, that was terrible. that was terrible because this was a season for Facundo to prove himself, to be able to play a whole season with Messi. Let's remember he got here after Messi last year and had some good games, but then at the end of the season, what happened to the whole team? They got tired or they didn't. It showed that they didn't have enough time to play together, and that's why they didn't go to the playoffs. But Facundo shows some promising signs of being able to gain a position and start in this team. And also, I think he still had the dream of being, if he had a good season, he could go to Europe after that. But it's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate it happened in preseason. It happened him coming into the game. And it's one of those accidents that happen because yes, Darwin Seren made the thing, but he tried to go for the ball, and that's when the injury happened. So it's really unfortunate, and for him especially, because being that young and having two ACLs already is going to be tough. It's gotta be tough. But he also has someone in the team that has gone through that. That's Ian Frey, and I think it will help him to see that you can come back even if after you have two of these injuries, and that he has to work for that. And not lose hope, because he's still young. He's going to have time. But for Inter Miami, it's a big loss, because I was asking Tata about that, because they lose him, and I thought, okay, they're not gonna loan Emerson now because they need more wingers. They don't have any more wingers after him and Robert Taylor that are quality, right? Because then you have Robbie Robinson.
I don't think they were looking, me personally, it's just my perception. I don't think that they were looking at Farias to be a winger. I think they were looking for him to be more of a creative guy in the middle of the park to help alleviate the playmaking that Lionel Messi has to do, especially in games where Messi's not going to be around. So he's going to be with Argentina, or he's going to be rested, or whatever the case is.
That could be it. But we saw last year also that he played well with Messi when Messi wasn't on field, and him playing on the wings. They work good together. But now Miami has to go and look for options, because one, as you say, they don't have anyone to come in and play in Messi's position when Messi is going to leave. We know he's going to begin leaving in March, then in June. Then if he wants to play Olympics, he's going to leave in August also. And he said it, the national team is the priority, right? So that is nothing to be surprised by. But Inter Miami don't have that now. And they don't, with Coco coming out from injury, maybe you have another winger striker, but you don't have any more of those creative players. So I think that is going to dictate a lot.
Might be the guy.
And
I think Nico Stefanelli.
And with that, Stefanelli, there were talks that he was going to leave and go and return to Chile to play with Everton from Viña del Mar. But now this changes
I've been
everything
there.
because he
I've been
didn't.
to
He
I've been to
didn't.
Viña del Mar. FYI, sorry, I've just
Yes,
been to Viña del Mar.
beautiful place. And the thing is that with that, I guess Nicolas Stefanelli is now traveling with the team to Arabia, and it's not going to go to Chile because they don't have any other players
But
that are
Tata said this
available.
morning that we could still expect changes. You know.
Yeah, of course. And
But
I think we
I think what you guys
will
just said
have to
though.
expect changes.
But I think what you guys just said is telling, right? Because Farias figured to be an important part of this team, like an important piece, if not an every game starter, a regular contributor, part-time starter. And with him now being sidelined, I think that changes Inter Miami's plans tremendously. Like Andrea said, there were reports last week of Nicola Stefanelli being sent to Everton down in Chile, not the English Everton, the Chilean Everton. However, after the injury, Nicola Stefanelli was one of the players who had initially been excluded from that El Salvador game day roster and was included for the trip to Dallas for that game against FC Dallas. So I think that's telling that if Farias is out, Stefanelli is one of the players that comes in. And I think, again, not saying he's going to give you the same exact thing that Farias would have given you, but I think in terms of the profile of players on this roster right now, I think he's the next man up. And I think now
Exactly. And
they're not going to be able to get rid of him. Unless they
yeah,
find
and
somebody else in short notice like this, they're not going to be
and
able
the
to get
thing
rid of him.
with Stefanelli is that Stefanelli can play in a lot of positions. He can play in Messi's position. He can play as a winger. He can play as a striker.
Yeah, but he needs to prove, that he can actually perform.
Yeah, the
I
thing
think
is
that's the
that
problem. I think he's
with
talented, but at this point, it feels like he's caught in a situation where it doesn't matter where you put him; he needs to perform. And
yeah,
yes, he can play several positions, but there has to be one spot on the field that he can really contribute to this team. Because I wouldn't choose Stefanelli over Taylor on the wing.
yeah,
I wouldn't put him as a 9 over Campana. And Campana is the third striker.
No, he's
I
not.
wouldn't
He's
put him
second
in
striker.
the well. Messi plays as a striker
Messi
now.
does
So
not. That's not a
yeah.
striker.
Okay,
I'm going to get
second,
into
whatever.
semantics. Messi's not
Yeah,
playing as a striker.
Messi plays all over the field. So I wouldn't put him in the middle, over Benja or over anybody else.
Kara in the comment section, please no Stefanelli flashback under Phil as a 9 and team would constantly cross to him. That's funny because if you're unaware of Nicola Stefanelli's profile, he's not the tallest player, more of a diminutive variety.
It did happen in
taller
the
than
game on
Messi.
Monday. It did happen in the game on Monday. They were crossing the ball to him, and he was standing right next to Omar Gonzalez. So, I mean,
A bit of an unfair David versus Goliath matchup.
I pointed out, and
Yes, you pointed it
I
out in
pointed
the
out in the
game.
broadcast,
I
and I
was
felt bad
laughing.
after I said
Yes.
it. And then, I was hard on Stefanelli without wanting to be hard because I was making a comment about him, about maybe the team looking for options, and I said like better options, and I really wanted to say other options, but
It
I mean
happens.
it's
Live, comments on live shows, live TV,
right, yeah,
they just come out, and once they're out, it's too late. There's no
yeah.
Yeah,
debate.
but
Again,
I think that the bottom line from Farias' injury, in terms of the team, in terms of what the team can expect, is that Stefanelli may not be on his way out because right now it's too short of a time to find someone with those characteristics that can replace Messi and that can replace
it's going to
other
fit
players.
in the cap and it fits long term in the cap. Like again, that's why I think the Farias injury is a big blow to what Inter Miami was planning for this year, and I think they have, in some way, shape, or form, Chris Henderson, Tata Martino, and the staff. They probably have to sit in a meeting on Saturday and look at a whiteboard and say, all right, now what? And
where do
kind
we
of
go?
reshuffle their cards a little bit.
Yeah,
I think Facundo.
It's a big loss.
Yeah, for me personally, I thought about Facundo this year before preseason and everything, and I thought he's going to be a very important player when Messi's not here, and I think that's where it hurts them the most. If Messi is available and everybody's available, I think they'll be fine. But we know eventually they're going to go away with the national team, so that's when you start thinking and looking for options. And I immediately thought, okay, Facundo is there. So, they could survive in MLS with Facundo.
Stefanelli has a lot to prove this year, but
right.
Look, it's unfortunate a teammate got injured for this to happen, pero la puerta se la abierto, right? The door has opened for him to have a more of a chance.
Especially on these games, on this tour that they are embarking today, he needs to demonstrate that he can be an asset for this team. Because, many players in preseason, we see that it's a moment where they can prove themselves for the coach.
Exactly, and that's where he has to deliver.
Say, I am ready. So, okay, Messi is not going to play the whole 4 games, 90 minutes. So when he comes in any moment that he comes in or starts in place of Messi, he needs to perform.
Absolutely.
Stefanelli needs to perform, or if not, he's going to be sold, and Inter Miami are going to look maybe in MLS for an MLS player that is already on the league to make a trade and something like that. Because I think if he doesn't perform in this preseason, they are going to ship him to Chile.
Stefanelli last year did score some. I don't know if important goals, but he scored some notable goals at times for the team. I'm trying to remember which Open Cup game it was, but he scored a goal in the Open Cup. There you go, Jose. Your memory is impeccable. I'm getting older. My memory that I used to always be very, very proud of is not doing as well as I get older.
Well, that was Messi Day, so
see?
That's why I couldn't forget that Birmingham.
Right. This is why you're rights holder, Jose.
Not anymore.
Stefanelli has scored. He scored some goals last year, and he showed moments. But it's about not just scoring goals; it's about the functioning of the team, how he contributes in more ways than one, and that's where he's going to have to make an impact. A lot of times we spoke to him last year, a lot of the availabilities and interviews we had with him, it was kind of like the same thing of him still adapting, him recovering from injuries. He has to stay healthy. He absolutely has to stay healthy to make the most of this opportunity. So we'll see how that unfolds, but it's there for him. Now he's got to seize the opportunity. All right, let's switch gears to the second game a little bit more detail.
They should go for Carlos Vela.
Andrea, stop.
I just wanted to say that to bother Franco because he gets mad when I say that.
Headlines. This will end up making headlines potentially in Mexico. Oh, Inter Miami after Carlos Vela. And then they're going to cite Andrea Llanes of Miami Total Football. and then what? Not everyone knows the rules in MLS, especially abroad. All right, this was the starting lineup in the game on Monday against FC Dallas, a game that, yes, Jose Armando, a.k.a. Island Jose, a.k.a. Cinco, called as rights holder Jose. Bien, Jose, for the third mention, fourth, fifth, sixth mention. This was the starting lineup for Inter Miami. Drake Callender returned in between the pipes. Back 5, DeAndre Edlin as the right wing back, Jordi Alba as the left wing back. Your 3 center backs from right to left, Thomas Aviles, Sergio Christoph, Noah Allen. Midfield 3, Julian Gressel moved into the center of the park. And next to him were Busquets and David Ruiz. Your boy, David Ruiz, Andrea, and Jose. And then up top, again, the combo of Messi and Suarez. Now, we'll dive into the game in a little more detail. There were some positive moments here. Like Jose said, I agree that if you compare the game against El Salvador, which was the first game of preseason, it is against a national team. So the intensity is a little bit different than an MLS team. Not a little bit. It's different than an MLS team. Inter Miami looked sluggish. They looked like a team that was coming off the offseason. They had the preseason cobwebs to shake off. Looked a bit sluggish. Not a whole lot in that one. In this one, even though they went down early off of not poor defending, of a turnover, Jordi Alba turns the ball.
Giveaway.
Bad spot. Very bad giveaway. And then Inter Miami gets exposed on the counter. But they held on to the ball well. They dictated the tempo. They had some chances, not a whole lot of chances, but they had some chances. Just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. I will personally, at this point, 2 games in, chalk it up to some rust, chalk it up to the team rediscovering itself. I came away from that game with mejores sensaciones, with better takeaways, a better sensation about Inter Miami and the direction they're headed. I know there's a lot of talk about no goals through 2 games, and listen, it's Inter Miami with this fantastic 4, a star-studded team. They're expected to win a lot. They're going to be judged every preseason game, every match, any 5-on-5 that they'll play at practice. Like, they're going to get judged for everything they do. So I completely get that. That's the bar that they've set for themselves. But result aside, I don't think they played terrible. It's just about fine-tuning those little bits there in the final third, which I think will come. I think it's impossible for it not to come when you have the likes of Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi. I mean, if you look at the movements that they have, and the chemistry and the understanding that they displayed at times, I mean, I don't think many MLS teams are going to be able to handle that. I mean, that one play where Luis Suarez drifts out to the wing, whips it across to the trailing run of Messi at the top of the box. I mean, and Messi just shanked the volley attempt. I mean, those movements.
The thing is that
you don't see those
they
movements from other
come
players
too
in MLS.
predictable after a while, and that's why they lose, and that's why they keep playing the same, and that's why they haven't won since September.
No, but I mean, Messi's not predictable. I
No,
mean, that's a
Messi is not. But the
top
style of
player.
play of Inter Miami, you know that Inter Miami, every team, and you saw it with the goal, every team knows that they need to attack Jordi Alba and DeAndre Jelly. That you can go the 90 minutes just metido atrás and wait for them to make a mistake and score a goal and win. And that's been a problem that they've been having since Tata came in. Well, since Phil was in the team, but with Tata, it was supposed to get better, but it hasn't.
I'm going to ruffle your guys' feathers. And I think this is an interesting point, right? Because you have Suarez, you have Messi. You've got Busquets in the midfield who can help dictate the tempo, who can hit a nice long ball, who can find Messi with the range of short passes. But that midfield overall still lacks some creativity. It still lacks another player that can unlock a defense.
Right.
And I'm sorry for your boy, David Ruiz and Benjamin Kremaski. They are hard workers. They are young players. They have promising futures. But on a team like this that wants to win everything they're competing for, I don't think they can be the regular starter. One of those that can be the regular starter in that midfield. I think they need somebody else. I think they need to add somebody there.
I think it's pretty clear why they need somebody else. If you look at the roster and look at the players in the middle of the field, most of them are defensive-minded players.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you look at Gregory, you look at Benja Kremaski. Who's Benja Kremaski's idol? Rodrigo de Paul. So he thinks of himself, more as a box-to-box defensive
hard worker, gritty, stuck in 100%.
So David Ruiz also
Busquets
as well,
is
a 5. Busquets, obviously he's good with the ball, but still, I mean, if you look at the entire middle of the field for Inter Miami, there's not a single creative player except for maybe Stefanelli, which it would be
Mota,
the only
who's not
the only
here.
one. Mota is better with the ball, but still, you will never put him as a creative player.
Right.
No
es un 10.
Those are players that are not going to create chances for you.
And especially now that you have Messi playing beside Suarez, because that as Jose was saying, that will be the case. Messi, yes, he can play wherever he wants, and he plays wherever he wants, but with Suarez and the chemistry that he has, he likes to go up top to be there. So
Andrea, Steve Munoz in the comment section says, I don't often agree with Andrea, but I agree with her here. Almost everything went to the left with the Alba. Yedlin offers nothing attacking. Better to have Gressel at right wing back.
That's a weak link. That's a weak link in Miami.
Let's go to Andres. The comment was about Andrea. Let's let her pat herself on the back. Let's do a Royal Caribbean here, Andrea. Pat yourself on the back, please.
Give me my flowers. No, and I think that will be a problem because everybody concentrates on if it's a back 5 or a back 4, but in either formation they have the same problem because these are defenders that like to go up top, but both are in MLS because their careers in Europe are over. Both Alba and Yedlin, and that was because they can't defend anymore. And the problem with Inter Miami is that every team in the MLS knows. So every team that has a Jesus Ferreira, that has a Paul Arriola, they are going to have problems with them. They are going to be teams that are bad. Like if you put Inter Miami against Colorado Rapids of last year, because this year they have a good teams in paper. If you put them against them, Inter Miami are going to destroy them. But with teams that are good, like Nashville, like Orlando, like rivals that they have last year, Inter Miami are always going to struggle because of that. So they need to have the ball. They need to have the ball and be a little bit more creative, not just through the wings.
Claro. No solo
they need to have someone behind Messi that can be creative when Messi wants to go to be out top with Suarez, and they don't have that in this moment. And Jose's right. Maybe Stefanelli could fill that place, but they don't have a lot of options.
I'll tell you what. For me, there are two things with this team right now. when it comes to the starting 11, I think Tata is still finding his way. Especially the game against Dallas, I think David Ruiz on the left side is not a good idea. Julian Gressel as well as a midfielder, not a great idea. Um, I think if Gressel is available, he should be playing, as a right wing back. I mean, that's great. I mean, we saw it in El Salvador. One of the few good things outside of the Cuatro Fantásticos, it was Gressel. Bringing good crosses in. He did a good job. So I think that's his spot. I
He's
think
an upgrade from Yedlin in that respect.
Right.
Clear upgrade. Clear upgrade.
Yeah, I think Noah Allen, he's not a center back. He's not a center back. He's going to struggle. So, just trust McVay. Give him a chance, a real chance. Put him out there if you want. See what happens. If not, bring somebody else in.
Tata doesn't like him.
Well, now Nico's here.
They clearly want players that are good on the ball. They clearly want players that are good on the ball. And whether you agree, whether we agree, disagree, he deems Noah Allen, with his height limitations, who's out of position, he deems him as the better fit for the style they want to play than Christopher McVay.
I think with Nico Freire now on the team, I think that'll be his.
We will get there, Jose. Hold your horses.
And then the second thing I wanted to mention is, Andrea was talking about, just teams sitting back. That's not the recipe for success when you're facing Messi. When you're facing Messi, if you give him the ball for 60 minutes and, the team is clicking, they will score on you. They will score on you. I wouldn't play the counterattack game.
Jose, did FC Dallas get scored on?
I mean, it's preseason.
But did FC Dallas get
scored on? But last year, they demonstrated that they couldn't. That they needed Messi, something. But the team, like the whole team, if you take Messi away, cannot score in these situations. When a team forms a block and defends well, like Cincinnati did last year, for example, or Orlando did last year in one of the games, they cannot score, even with Messi and the other ones. Of course, they're going to score a lot of goals because they are bad teams in MLS. They are bad teams. Their problem is that not the bad teams, but that they can't compete until this moment with the better teams in MLS. They don't have the names that they have because they don't have Messi, Suarez, and the Cuatro Fantásticos, but they have good systems and good teams. And those teams, it makes it hard for them. Cincinnati, Nashville, Orlando, Columbus Crew, those teams are difficult for Inter Miami because of that reason. So,
I mean, I'm not saying that they have
in this moment they haven't brought anyone that can change that for the long term.
I think it comes down to the point that they need someone more creative.
They
need someone that's a little more
brought anyone.
If you're going to play in a línea de cinco, which I know they say línea de tres or back three, but it's a back five. Because those five players are defensive characteristics. Yes, your fullbacks might push forward, and Jordi Alba's good on the ball, but he's still a defensive player. So if you're going to have five defensive players, sure, you might have one of the midfields in front that you need to do some dirty work. But one of those other two, right, because Busquets is going to be starting, one of the other two, or both of the other two, need to be more offensive, attack-minded players. And that's my opinion. Now, I know Tata's looking for the balance, and he wants to have a solid shape, something he talked about today and the last availability before they travel to Saudi Arabia. But I think they need a little more attacking verb there. Very quickly for you guys, before we dive into a quote here, a clip from Tata Martino, very quickly. Is it concerning, because I know there's been a lot of talk on social media, is it at all concerning that Inter Miami did not score a single goal through these first two games? With their Cuatro Fantásticos starting both of them, 45 minutes against El Salvador and then about an hour or so against FC Dallas. Jose, is it concerning at all that they did not score a goal in those two games?
No. If they would have scored a penalty or an own goal, people wouldn't be talking about it. So no.
Andrea, is it at all concerning?
No, it's not.
At all concerning? I mean, I will agree with you that it's not concerning, but I don't know if I say at all. It all is like, extreme.
Let me tell you why. Quickly why. Because El Salvador knew that they were playing Messi. They played their best football in last 20 games. I haven't seen them because we play against them in every tournament. They played their best game in the last 20 games because they were playing against Messi. And Dallas also, they wanted to show the supporters that were there, even though it wasn't a sellout, and they could have played it in their own stadium and it would have looked better. But that Dallas also was playing against Messi. So
everyone's going to be playing against Messi.
we're
I'm not
giving
saying
it
it's
a
a
little
big
bit more,
concern.
but Dallas doesn't play with Inter Miami this season, so they had that motivation because they don't have another game.
I'm not going to say it's not concerning. I'm not saying it's concerning, but is it at all concerning? It's a tiny bit concerning, a tiny bit, because if you have Suarez, listen, okay, El Salvador first game of the preseason, they should have scored against FC Dallas. Like Messi had a clear opportunity, one-on-one opportunity, he didn't put it away. It was a good save. Even though it's preseason, you would expect that team with the star power it has, playing FC Dallas, which is also coming into its own, preseason. Not like FC Dallas has been training for a month and Inter Miami hasn't. I won't say it's super concerning, but I would say it's a little tiny bit concerning.
I'll give them one more game. If they don't score in the next game, then
but
something
it's
to think
preseason,
about.
Jose. But it's preseason. They flew a long way, and now they're tired when they're playing.
They're gonna have excuses.
No, but
all the way.
they're gonna have excuses. But these games are a little bit more important because they're facing teams that are in season, that have been in season. They have been in a break because
they should struggle.
And
really,
they should struggle against these
at
teams,
times,
exactly. So if they get a goal in these games, especially in Saudi Arabia, the other two are also nonsense, like El Salvador and Dallas. But if they struggle against this Al Hilal and Al Nasser, it's not going to be something that surprises me because they should struggle. These are teams that are in season and that have shown better football than what we have seen from Inter Miami.
Our resident referee Tank721 is in the comment section. Says, "Hey everybody, I give Tata a yellow card for his formation and starting 11 choices." Well, let's listen to Tata. Because Tata was asked about the two games. He didn't do any post game after either match, but he did speak today at practice. Inter Miami is actually flying in the next 45 minutes or so. They'll be leaving South Florida here at 11 p.m. around 11 p.m. as they head on a 16-hour flight, if I'm not mistaken. To Saudi Arabia. I think they're landing in Riyadh. Anyway, this was Tata Martino's analysis of these first two games. It's in Spanish. We will paraphrase for you guys that don't afterwards.
A ver, del primero al segundo partido me incomodaba que no habíamos defendido bien los espacios grandes a espaldas de la línea de 4. Creo que con Dallas lo hicimos mucho mejor. Incluso el gol de ellos es por una pérdida en salida y no por el rival corriendo al espacio. Me parece que mejoramos mucho en el segundo partido en el control del juego, incluso hasta en situaciones de gol. Circulamos mejor la pelota. Si hay alguna preocupación es esto de no hacer goles y no ganar el partido, siempre es algo que te dejaría un poco más conforme, pero realidad es que lo que estamos buscando es una solidez de equipo que poco a poco creo que vamos a ir logrando. Insisto, todavía hay jugadores que no están pleno, me preguntaban por Franco y Franco está a 30-40 días de poder volver, Nicolás probablemente en 15 días esté a disposición nuestra. Diego está jugando el preolímpico. Si uno piensa en esto, más algún refuerzo que podamos tener en estos días, 3 o 4 jugadores siempre modifican la cuestión y seguramente nos harán mejores.
Excuses, man.
So that's where. Hold on, Jose. Hold on. I want to go there. I do want to go there. But let's paraphrase for the people that don't speak Spanish or don't understand Spanish. So a lot of what he said is some of the things we've analyzed earlier on this pod. And a lot of it was about how from the first game to the second game, he saw improvements in terms of retention of the ball, circulation of the ball. He liked the second game better than the first game, et cetera, et cetera. He does say, which I think is not a small thing, that está buscando una solidez, which means that they're looking for defensive solidity. In my understanding or my interpretation of what he's saying, like I think he thinks that Inter Miami is just going to score goals just because they have the talent to do so. Suarez and Messi and whoever else is starting up there, they're going to figure it out just because of the sheer talent that they have. And if more of the focus, despite this being an attack-minded team, at least right now, is that it's on the defensive side and shoring things up defensively and trying to be as solid as possible on that side. I think that's what the onus right now for Inter Miami is. I think that's what they're really working on. Again, that's just my supposition. This is my interpretation of what he says. But at the end, like Jose was just about to get into, rights holder Jose was about to be 2-foot slide tackle Jose, because I can tell that bothers him. And I agree with you that at the end, when Tata Martino says that they're missing 3 to 4 players, that not everybody is fully sharp, not everyone's at peak sharpness, and that they could bring in some more reinforcements, that, that adds up to making a world of difference, or a big difference. We heard a lot of that last year too at different points.
Yeah.
But you cannot expect Tata Martino, and I know he knows this, of course he knows this, you cannot expect this team to be fully sharp, fully fit, fully healthy for the entire season. Like, at points you're going to be missing players. Like, and I know that he knows that, he's mentioned it in other moments, but it is, like you said, Jose, it does sound like an excuse, because you cannot rely on the perfect and ideal scenario and circumstance to play out for you week in and week out. And that can't be an excuse for your team not perform.
If you have Los Cuatro Fantásticos, you have to perform. That's it.
Yeah.
There's Messi, Boujee, Jordi, and Suarez are available, which they have started both games. They should perform. I mean, I'm not going to judge them for the first 2 games of preseason. I agree. But just don't come at me with those excuses that Diego Gomez is with and that's why we feel like we're not there yet. Or Franco Neri is not ready. He's going to be ready in 45 days. I feel like this is not the year for excuses. I mean, if Messi's not available, that's the only excuse that's valid for him.
Why do you think he's offering up that rationale?
Because he knows that Messi is gonna be gone a lot of times this year. He knows it, so he's.
But why offer that rationale?
He's abriendo el paraguas.
No, I think it's more about damage control.
It's like an easy way out, right? It's like the easiest explanation he can find to be like, all right, well, calm down, guys, calm down.
Yeah, it's damage control. It's like, we're early. Let's not get started going that way. Just give us some time. But I think, we were already set on giving him time and not judging his team. But it is, not upsetting, but, it's hard to understand why would you go with, the excuse that this or that guy is not available right now. When, especially Franco Neri, he knew already that they would not be ready by this point in preseason. So, but I mean,
he did say to piggyback off that, he did say that Franco Neri and Coco John, they're in that final stage of the recovery, that he expects them to be back in 30 to 45 days. Andrea mentioned Emerson Rodriguez. Tata Martino confirmed that he will be heading back on loan to Santos Laguna in Liga MX. So there will be no Rivaldo return.
Right. When he was talking about Franco and Coco and it was just giving us, like, in detail 30 to 45.
I loved it.
Right?
I loved it. Yes, I had the same takeaway when I rewatched the interview here when I was preparing the pod. I was like, he literally just said that the medical staff has told him that Franco Negri and
I thought I was the only one that noticed that.
30-45 days. But Lionel Messi last year.
But no one knows
no
Messi
timeline for his
or
recovery.
Jordi Alba. It was the big mystery. Wow.
People, listeners, viewers, please, if something like that happens again this year, because I know there were some people that completely from beginning were like, that's BS. But there were some people that were like buying it. They were like, oh, he's not healthy. They don't know. Medical staff has a diagnosis. The medical staff knows what it is. The medical staff has an idea. If they're not telling us, it's for whatever reasons they don't want to tell us, whether it's commercial, business-wise, el lado económico, whatever you want. But they know. They know. So yes, Jose, thank you for bringing that up. I would have.
We just never forget. Never forget.
Never forget.
Yeah, just because of the old saying that we treat everybody the same. We don't look any player, differently than any other. Old saying in football. We know that's not the case, and well, I guess we have proof now for Tata.
Yes.
So we'll save it, Tata.
We're marking this part. We'll bring it back up later in the year if it is needed. All right, very quickly to start wrapping up the pod. Let's talk about a couple of players. One of them is the new center back that was signed this week, officially on loan from, why am I blanking on the next team? Pumas down in Mexico. His name is Nicolas Jose, your rights holder, Jose, help me with the pronunciation of the last.
Freire.
All right. Nicolas Freire has been signed by Inter Miami on loan for the entire season. Now, there were questions of, is he going to be a depth piece if he's just coming on loan, or is he going to be a starter on this team? And I think we got our answer today. No one directly said he's going to be a starter, but based on what was said in the pre-practice availability, you can come away with the interpretation that he's going to be a starter and he's going to be the replacement for one Kamal Miller, who is now with the Portland Timbers.
Yeah, this is a player that has been playing in Europe for the past month, so it's a quality player. This is, I think, a good signing for them. Obviously, they made a deal because they couldn't buy him, pay all that money that Pumas is asking for him, and they found a solution and signed him on loan. I bet maybe they could buy him depending on the year, depending on the price. Those things change as a season progresses, but I think they bought him to be a starter.
Now,
very quickly, hold on, very quickly. I want to hear from Nicolas Freire here when he asked about why he came to Inter Miami, because he talked about his conversations with Tata Martino, and he talked about el cariño. He talked about like that. I don't know how you translate cariño. It would be
love,
attention. Like he got some positive feedback from the coaching staff, and he felt the desire to come in. He said that was one of the main reasons why he came. He didn't talk about Messi. He didn't talk about all that initially. He talked about the attention, the love, the standing that the coaching staff put him in and placed on him, and where they fit him or where they see him fitting into this season's plan. So this is what he said here in Spanish.
A ver, llega un momento donde necesitamos ese cariño y como deportistas, y acá, bueno, desde que se comunicaron conmigo demostraron mucho interés para que pueda estar acá. Bueno, eso, la charla es privada, pero bueno, te puedo decir que me generó una gran satisfacción saber que un cuerpo técnico de la magnitud del Tata se hayan comunicado conmigo y bueno, quieran que hoy esté acá.
So, the smile he had on his face, because I had asked him directly, like, what were the conversations? Because he started the interview minutes earlier saying that the talks with the coaching staff are what really sold him on coming to Inter Miami. So I asked him what was said, what was said in those talks. What did Tata Martino say about where he fits into the plans? And he didn't reveal. He says there, he's like, those details stay private between the coaching staff and myself. But he says it with a smile, man. And that to me shows genuine that there was something that was said, or things that were said that really made him feel important in terms of where he fits in, and that's why he made the decision to come here at this point in the career. He did call this one of the most important stops, one of the important moments of his career. I'm very curious to see how he plays. He's not going to be ready for another few weeks, according to Tata Martino, but I'm curious to see because I don't know if he's the fastest. I've never seen him play, but I don't know if he's the fastest. And Kamal Miller, I mean, he wasn't the fastest either, but once he got going, once he got that acceleration, then he could cover some ground. Inter Miami's going to need some Thomas Avila's wheels this year. Because, I mean, I still think they need another center back. Me personally.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll tell you what, when they traded Kamal Miller, one of the things for me to judge that trade was, who are they bringing in? Because they got some money, they got an international spot. I'm not sure that Freire
was the first option.
Complements that deal, because first off, he's on loan, which it's a 1-year loan, which for me, it's more like a Dixon Arroyo situation. They'll see how it works out. If, he's really,
probably
really
a money
good.
Thing, though. It's probably a money thing.
Yeah, but
where Dixon Arroyo was coming in because Gregory was injured. Like, this is more, I think, we see him fitting in longer term, but we just have to make the numbers work. And for this year, let's just put him on loan. It helps the budget. That's just my.
But I doubt that Pumas will be.
They're not gonna give him for free.
Yeah, they're not.
Of course, but next year.
Okay, guys. So I'll wait next year. If you like him, then we'll work something out. What if he gets hurt? Then Pumas, he gets him back and it's hurt. So I don't think Pumas, they're going to be that nice just to give Inter Miami a player, so that they can try him out for a year. So,
and especially look at the negotiations of Inter Miami with Mexican teams, because they wanted to sell Emerson to Santos. Santos said, no, you're asking too much. They didn't.
Well,
They didn't have any offers, and they don't have any more options than to loan
that's
him
just
back.
negotiation. So that's just part of the whole song and dance.
I think everybody, when it comes to, if you get a call from Inter Miami, you would think, I'm going to make a lot of money here. They just have the money. They have Messi, which is not the case according to MLS rules.
But the people don't know MLS rules. That's the problem.
Not what I've heard. I've said this before. I said this, I think, maybe last week with Simon. From what I've heard, from what sources have told me, there's been questions. I've gotten texts from MLS players asking me, how is Inter Miami fitting all these players onto their salary budget? And from what I've heard from sources in and around the team, players are coming here for cheaper. They are taking less money to be part of this project, to play alongside Messi, to be in South Florida. They're taking less money than they could otherwise command, and that's helping Inter Miami.
Yeah, but that's on the players if you're a free agent. But if you're another team, if you're another team, it's a business situation. So it's one thing if you're a free agent and it's your decision. Okay, I'm going to take an X amount of money, and I'm going to leave 20% on the table. If you're a team and Inter Miami wants one of your guys, then you're not thinking, oh yeah, he wants to play with Messi, so let's just help him out and have him go for 20% with the 20% discount. That's what I'm talking about.
I think it has more to do with the fact that they probably couldn't fit him under the salary budget this year if they try to buy him out, because then you got to pay a transfer fee that factors into the salary budget hit, et cetera, et cetera. They use him as a stopgap solution for a year. If he pans out, then they try to buy him and move another piece to open up that space.
Well, if that happened, Pumas is very nice. Very, very nice. But I still think I agree with you. I think they need another center back. And, maybe the money that they got from Kamal Miller and the international spot goes to somebody else. Maybe we'll see an announcement in a few days.
Carlos Moreno says, I don't buy that for a second. They're making money in other ways. So he's throwing out the conspiracy theory. We've got a conspiracy theorist in the comment section. No, Carlos, I'm just kidding. Conspiracy Carlos. No, but I mean, that's not an uncommon.
No, it's valid. It's valid.
Say
you don't see other MLS teams doing this, so it's valid. And listen, when there is talk, I think also Nicolas was a good option for them, because if they went, of course, Marco Rojo told them no. The other one, they wanted to buy them for a lot of millions of dollars. So I think they decided on Nicolas as one of the center backs that they're bringing, because it doesn't look as bad when you think about the numbers. Because listen, if they would have paid Marco Rojo $5 million and they would have brought him to Inter Miami, people will be saying like, what, another player for $5 million, and how much will he get, and all of this talk that is already, let's not kid ourselves, everyone is talking about this, how are they paying these players, and you're gonna get that. So I think that played a part in this decision of bringing a player on loan.
Let's not forget, Inter Miami is still linked with a move for Agustin Palavecino. What a nickname. Oh, what a last name, sorry. Could be a nickname. And they're also looking for another player from Boca Juniors, Medina. So there's two midfielders that they could still add on, and the numbers that are being thrown out there that are being reported are not low figures. So
yeah, because like, why would Boca sell a player for under their asking price? So especially to Inter Miami, when they know, that's Jose is saying, that they have money, or they want money to build a project.
Well, they think they have money,
or they think exactly they have money. So that's an issue that we can be talking about all over, because people in our country, especially in Latin America, don't understand MLS rules, don't understand, because people in Argentina, I've heard them say, oh, for Inter Miami, 18 for Christian Medina is nothing, they're going to pay it. But they don't understand how a fichaje with those numbers can be possible in this league. It's not as easy as it sounds.
Good question here. Good question from Khan. Is Henderson working for free? Franco contract ended last year. There was never an announcement that he signed an extension. I don't know what happened there.
We have seen him there, so we guess he signed, because we haven't seen.
Why wasn't there an announcement? What's going on there?
I think the first time I saw him was on when they were on their way to El Salvador. Yeah, I saw a picture of him in the background and was like, oh, okay, yeah, he renewed his contract. Good.
I mean,
I saw him
Maybe he's
when
still working out the
they
details.
signed
Maybe he's still working out the
Boujee,
details.
and he was in the pictures, and I was
He's in
like,
a lot of the pictures. I told you guys at the end of last year. I think, again, it's just my supposition, not inside.
but we don't get details. That is why everyone suspects about Inter Miami, because we don't get details. We don't get Chris Henderson signed for 2 years. Like, we got all those new coaches and sporting directors in MLS we have gotten. They signed for 5 years. Phil signed for 2 years, 3 years, and his sporting director signs for 3 years.
But is it a league policy? Is it a league policy?
Yeah, but we haven't gotten that.
Andrea, speaking of transparency, this is how we wrap up the show. We're talking about one more Inter Miami player. Although he might not be an Inter Miami player, but he is an Inter Miami player. We're talking about Harvey Neville.
I knew this was coming.
Since we last recorded, I put it out there that he was not there in practice on day one of preseason. I had been told by sources he didn't even show up for the optional training sessions that were held in the week prior to the official day one of preseason practice. Now we know where he's at. He is on trial with the Portland Timbers. Where, by the way,
coincidentally, how the hell someone that has a contract is on trial with another professional team? Like, seriously.
I don't think it's on trial. I'll tell you that. He's listed as that way, but I don't think he is. He's just training with Portland.
So to Jose's point, I was told this by a source. Now, I was not able to corroborate this. So I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't say it. But I will, because we're live. It's the end of the show, and we're not talking about a very important player here for Inter Miami. I shouldn't, but I will. So what I was told is that Harvey Neville is actually not on trial. He's just there training. That the hope is that he finds a team somewhere in the lower divisions in England. He's just there to stay fit and be around Pops. Now, that could be the case, right? Again, I didn't get to corroborate that, but that could be the case. However, we heard similar things. We heard a different story when he was also here in South Florida, when he was just getting his feet wet here. Oh, he's just here to visit his family, and he's just, just staying fit while he figures out his club future. And then what happened?
He's a different player now.
But then what happened? He ended up signing for the team that his dad coached. So we'll see what happens.
He'll play in USL.
If he does not get a let's say no one comes calling in England. You really think Phil Neville's going to turn his back and be like, you can't play here. You can't be here. Come on.
No, he's going to go to USL.
He's not going to play in MLS. Even if Phil finds a way to put him in the roster, he's not going to play with the Timbers.
But this is great.
He's going to play in USL. He had a good year in USL. It was not a great team, and he was good. He was a solid player.
For me, the crazy thing about this story is a player that has a contract with a team is training with another team. That for me is only in MLS.
I think the mistake was that they listed him as a trialist. I think that's
but Jose, you have you wouldn't see Vinicius training with Barcelona team.
What else
would you?
We just don't know about it.
That's
he's still in contract with Inter Miami.
Did I just compare Harvey Neville training with the Portland Timbers as Vinicius training with Barcelona? Terrible.
Yes. Or any player in any league. Franco, do you imagine player from La U training with another team in Peru?
I get your point. If he's under contract with Inter Miami,
it happens.
I get your point, especially in MLS where you have to have special permissions and all this, but. Listen, Inter Miami, when I asked about where Harvey Neville was, I got a no comment. That was the official comment, the official remark.
That's the thing I think that bothers me the most. We don't get any official thing.
It's MLS, man. They got to finagle the rules and play around. So, I agree. Back to your earlier point, no transparency. We'll see how it all plays out. We'll see. If Harvey Neville signs with the Portland Timbers, though, I don't think it does him a favor, and I don't think it does Phil Neville a favor. I don't think that helps either one.
That would be horrible for him.
It doesn't make any sense, and he'll play in USL.
But I've seen this happen in MLS before, so it doesn't surprise me.
So let's wrap up the show. Inter Miami is about to travel. They're about to hit the Saudi Arabia.
Well, let's say the team that is traveling, Franco. I have it ready here.
If you have all the names,
I have it here. I was using it for my final thoughts. But the goalkeepers that are traveling are Drake Callender, CJ Dos Santos, Cole Jensen. The
By the way,
defenders
can you
traveling.
stop there? Because I have a comment about it. Sorry.
This is why the pod with you guys goes longer than an hour and 10
Yes.
every time. We say
Jose
we're gonna
interrupts
do it.
everyone.
But I mean,
Metiche.
with CJ and Cole Jensen, if for some reason Drake Callender is not available, I think they need another goalkeeper. I think they need to go out there and find an experienced goalkeeper that would be okay
Franco
sitting
Armani for
behind
$10 million.
Drake Callender.
Listen,
I think they should do that.
Agree. I think
Cole
that
Jensen and CJ Dos Santos, they have one game between the two of them, and it was the last game of the last season when CJ started. Cole Jensen hasn't played.
Jose, I'm with you that I think that their thought is Drake Callender is going to be reliable, and they're betting on that. If he ever went down with an injury, then they're going very quickly to find whatever free agent veteran that's out there that they can find.
Marshman, I guess.
Marshman has returned to the Netherlands. All right.
I think it would be better for them to get a goalkeeper that's with them for the entire season and just give Cole Jensen an opportunity with Inter Miami CF2 and MLS Next Pro. Have him play games.
We'll dive into that later.
Okay, Jose, please.
Continue.
Sorry.
Controlate. Defenders, Jordi Alba, Noah Allen, Tomás Avilés, Israel Boatwright, Nicolás Freire, Tyler Hall, Sergi Christoph, Christopher McVeigh, Ryan Saylor, and DeAndre Yedlin. So some new names, different names that travel did not travel to other
Dallas and
places.
All right, midfielders, Andrea, quickly.
Midfielders, Yannick Bright, who is the MLS Super Draft pick. Everyone is excited for that. Sergio Busquets, Gregory, Julian Gressel, Robbie Robinson, David Ruiz, Lawson Sunderland, and Robert Taylor. Forwards, Slider Borgelin, Leonardo Campana, Lionel Messi, and Luis Suarez. So, no Nicolas Stefanelli. So, we were talking about him. He's not going on the trip.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
So I guess we were gonna see him in Chile before they arrive in Saudi Arabia.
I don't know. I think that'd be a mistake unless they're just not planning on playing with anyone else through the middle with Farias out. But anyway, another player that you did not name is Benjamin Kremaski. He is nursing a groin injury, so he's not making the trip. Another player that has picked up a knock here in the early days of preseason. Robbie Robinson was listed, so that means he's healthy again after his mysterious day one ailment.
Imagine Robbie Robinson getting a chance to play with Cristiano Ronaldo, Sadio Mane, etc., man.
He's already playing.
Your boy Edison is going to also not on the list. Last time we saw him, he was injured and doing individual work. So if anybody's asking or curious, there you go. So I know Kyle's in the comment section saying Escona not on the list. What will happen to him? All right. Well, we'll see how the games play out. We will be back probably, I would like to say, in between the games in Saudi Arabia.
You know what? We should do a pod like right before the
Cristiano Ronaldo
early morning games. I think there's one at 3 a.m. and a 5 a.m. So just that we stay together as a team with the faithful Miami Total Football Radio fans, and we get to keep each other
gives you these
awake.
ideas and then won't want to wake up. I'm calling him right now.
He'll put the camera on him. He'll be drooling.
Yes.
Roncando, snoring on the pillow next to Figo, your dog. Actually, look, so next week's games, first one's against Al Hilal on Monday. It's at 1 p.m. The following one is on Thursday at 1 p.m. I'm going to target tentatively. And every time I do this every week, I regret it because we never come through on the exact date. But I think this one will work. Next week, barring any breaking news or barring anything wild happening between now and then, I think we can target next Thursday. Next Thursday night, we can target a pod, live show, so that we can analyze both games. Both games will have been played at that point. They're both 1 p.m. kickoffs, Eastern time, so during the workday. So if you have to work, you can tune in with us at night, and we can break it all down for you. The game that is against Hong Kong is on Sunday, February 4th. That one's at 4 a.m. Maybe we can have fun with that, but 4 a.m. is a tough ask. I think we might get 2 people watching live.
Jose is crazy.
But yes, let's see.
I'm just finding ways to stay awake.
Island Jose.
Maybe we'll play Call of Duty with Franco.
Hey, maybe. Hey, look.
All night long until 4 a.m.
I meant to bring this up last week because I'm sure there's some gamers out here in the comment section that are watching live or that will be listening to this afterwards. And Kala made a funny mention. I think Kala follows me on Instagram. I'm not sure who he is, but he gave me props, or she gave me props. Kala gave me props for kicking my friend's butt in Mario Kart. Look, there's Kala again. There it is, right there. Franco, can't we get Mario Kart and then El Camino? Sorry, Jose. See, Kala knows I go to El Camino. Maybe Kala's a close friend of mine, and I don't even know who Kala is. But Mario Kart and Call of Duty are two things I've been playing a lot. Also, Super Smash Brothers on the Switch. So if anybody out there wants some, tag me, at me, send me your username, your gamer tags, and we'll get it. We'll get it on. Hosta's really good. Hosta's really good at Call of Duty. I'll give
Call of Duty. Well,
I'll give Hosta that.
I try.
All right. Well, then let's leave it there for the pleasantries in the show and the boat reviews and the soccer and football analysis. We'll be back next week. I promise you we'll be back next week. I'm going to target Thursday. I think it should be doable. And Andrea's making hand gestures. I don't know what's going on over there.
We have to be on after the Cristiano Ronaldo game.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Thursday, I think is I know.
Have you noticed how the players don't really want to talk about it? I mean,
Yes.
We've been asking around. I'm
We've
gonna
been
write
asking,
something
and
about
everyone
it.
is like with
don't wanna talk about
instructions.
it.
Don't say anything because if they say, "Oh, my idol Cristiano Ronaldo," they're gonna get canceled in the locker room.
They're trying not to beat on that drum and like give it too much attention. They're trying not to overdo it or oversell it. But anyway, they're gonna let the media do that. All right, that does it for this week's show. One longer than intended, but guys, if you're listening, if you're watching, please give us a like, comment, a share, a subscribe, a review. Whether it's YouTube, whether it's Apple Podcasts, whether it's Spotify, it helps us out tremendously, and it costs you guys next to nothing, just a few seconds of your time. Please do that. If you haven't already, we will be back next week. So for Andrea Llanes, for Jose Armando, I am Franco Penizo. You have been listening to Miami Total Football. No, I can't do it. My tongue just will not do it if I'm speaking English too much. So I have to say radio. There we go. I have to switch gears mentally. It's a challenge. I'm in preseason form. I'll work on it. All right, guys. That does it for the show. We will talk to you guys again next week. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the action. And talk to you guys soon.